Hey guys, welcome to week 2 of American National Government at North Central Texas College. Once again, I am your instructor, Charles Cooper. Hopefully you've noticed that I've taken away the introduction Padlet that we had up for the first week. Hopefully you guys have used that to get to know each other in the classroom, and then along with the discussion forums, you've been bouncing ideas off of each other as you've digested some of the prompts that have been thrown out. What I would like to do is, or rather what I have done is I've replaced the Padlet with a Twitter feed so that as long as you enter this hashtag NCTC GOVT, anybody using Twitter can post something to this timeline so that if you guys have questions or if I need to throw out some sort of announcement quickly, you're going to find it here on the home page. And also, if you follow me on Twitter at Thrasymachus, you certainly do not have to follow me, and I'm not saying that if you do, anything special will happen as far as extra credit or anything like that. And even if you don't follow me, when I post things to this particular hashtag, they'll pop up here. So don't worry about getting a Twitter account if you don't have one. But for those of you that do use Twitter, I tweet often, usually about education, and that can get overwhelming sometimes because I do tweet a lot. I think I have something like 17,000 tweets under my account, under my belt. So whenever I want to differentiate my other job from this particular job, I'm going to add this hashtag, and then that will post it to this Canvas account or this Canvas page. And so just be aware of that. However, if you do have a Twitter account, you can reach me pretty quickly. I almost live on Twitter. So if you have questions, you can reach me pretty quickly shooting me a tweet, especially if you put at Thrasymachus. And this is not an ancient dinosaur or anything like that. This is a lawyer from ancient Greece, and back when I taught more government classes than I am right now, this Twitter handle certainly made a lot of sense. At my other job that has nothing to do with teaching government, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, so I always get weird looks when I throw out my Twitter handle. But anyway, if you'd like to get started using Twitter, shoot me an email and I can walk you through the process. Or if you're perfectly happy not using Twitter, or you've got a private account that you don't want to expose to this page, that's fine as well. So for this week, we're going to go over here and click on modules. And like I've said before, I try to set up each week to be as close as possible to the previous week so that there's some repetition. And as far as expectations are concerned, I mean, the same stuff is going to be due roughly on the same days per week. So this week we're tackling really my favorite topic of the entire semester, which is the founding generation, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. For whatever reason, I posted one discussion forum, but two popped up, and some of y'all have kind of jumped in on one or the other, so I'll leave them both up. You do not have to address both of them. They say exactly the same thing. And that's, I told you that we're kind of new to Canvas, this learning system that we're using. And so that's one of those things that I'm not sure why this happened, and I'll have to figure it out before next semester starts. But as far as the rest of the way this page is set up, it's going to be exactly like the previous week, where you're going to have your key terms, learning objectives, your chapter overview, chapter outline, PowerPoint. All of this, of course, can be downloaded. You're going to have your Chapter 2 reading quiz. That's going to be due by midnight Friday, so make sure you attend to that. As far as the discussion forum, which is up here, just like last week and really just like for the rest of the semester, you are to read the prompt, address the prompt in your own words, and giving me a link or some sort of citation from the textbook. That's due by midnight Wednesday. And then you're going to also reply to another student's post. That's going to be due by midnight Sunday. I'm going to jump over to the calendar in just a second to show you what that looks like visually for you visual learners. But let's scroll down here. Remember that the only thing that's going to be different this week is that your Module 1 exam, which covers chapters 1 and 2, that's going to open up on Friday and then close Sunday at midnight. So let's go ahead and jump over to the calendar. And you'll see today on Monday, the Chapter 2 discussion forum opens up here, and then the Chapter 2 discussion forum closes here. Post number 1 for the discussion forum is due by midnight Wednesday, and then post number 2, of course, is due by midnight Sunday when it closes. You've got your Chapter 2 reading quiz, which opens up on Monday, closes by midnight Friday, and then your Module 1 exam opens up on Friday and closes by midnight Sunday. And so the only thing that's going to be, the only curveball being thrown this week is that you've got that added Module 1 exam. So just make sure you don't wait until the last second to take care of all this stuff. Otherwise, you're going to have a reading quiz Friday midnight, and then a post Sunday midnight, and then an exam Sunday midnight. And usually it's pretty easy to tell when students wait until the last second to take care of their work. It usually seems pretty rushed, pretty shallow, and they tend to forget the citations and things like that. So pace yourself as much as you can and just take care of the work as soon as possible so that you're not throwing everything in at the last second. I also have this week an extra assignment, which is not going to be a graded assignment. This is a pre-test for American government students that, for me as an instructor, is due by Wednesday. So I'm going to post that Tuesday. If you can please get to that as soon as possible, either on Tuesday or Wednesday. It's a 10-question pre-test. And even if you make a 0 on it and miss all of the questions, it's not a big deal. At the end of the semester, I'll give you the exact same test just to show growth over the semester. And so once again, now if you make a 0 on it now and then you make a 20 on it at the end of the semester, then that's something to worry about. But as far as is this going to be graded and entered into the into the grade book, the answer is no. This is more for me to see how much students have grown and whether they've grown and to what degree and all that stuff. So by Wednesday midnight, I'm going to need this pre-test done. And then finally, the discussion post for this week deals with the Declaration of Independence, because your textbook doesn't really talk about it too much, or not to the degree that makes me happy. So the question this week really centers on this idea of some elements that you find in the Declaration: man, the divine, nature, and government. And so you find, for example, the divine, i.e. nature and nature's God, that kind of stuff. You find God mentioned 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Man is mentioned throughout. Nature is mentioned a few times, especially at the beginning. And then, of course, government, complaints about government, what the role of a properly constructed government is. So what I want you guys to do, and this is not an easy task, so if you spend 1 sentence on this, then you're not doing it right. I want you to read through the Declaration of Independence. I then want you to order man, the divine, nature, and government into the order that you perceive, the order of importance, rather, that you perceive these terms being emphasized in the Declaration of Independence. So, is the Declaration putting God above man, and then man above nature, and nature above government? Or is government at the top of the list? What seems to be emphasized by this document? And then, of course, back it up with your reasoning. Why do you think that man is placed at the top over God? What verbiage do you find in the Declaration of Independence that leads you in that direction? This is one of the tougher prompts, in the sense that you may initially think that you know the answer, but the more you dive into the text, the more fascinating, really, and the more difficult the question becomes. And so I want you to cite a passage from the Declaration of Independence that supports what it is that you're arguing, and especially the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. You're going to find a lot of the meat of the topic there, and then further down in the Declaration where the founders are complaining about what England has done. Pay attention to what the founders list first, second, and third when it comes to really any of these documents that we're going to look at. But, for example, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When you take a look at the ordering of those terms and why they were ordered in that way, there's a much, much deeper meaning that goes all the way back to Aristotle and ancient Greece. So I don't want you to dismiss this as a very easy task, because it's not. And obviously, because this is one of my favorite topics, I know a little bit about it. So if you're citing a passage from the Declaration that doesn't really live up to the ordering that you're using, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb to me. So do your best to explain your reasoning, and it's going to be way more than just one or two sentences. If you have any questions, again, tweet me at Thrasymachus, or tweet your question to the hashtag NCTC GOVT. I'll address it as quickly as I can. And, almost forgot. Let's go back to our modules. This is the last thing that I want to address. And that is the graded written assignment number 1. That's going to be due on September 21st. So it was assigned on the first day of class. We're about to move into Module 2. Keep in mind that this is due on the 21st, so you have 20 days to address the writing prompt and to submit it to Canvas. I don't want you to forget about it, because when you go to the calendar, you aren't reminded on a daily basis that this is going to be due on the 21st in Canvas like you were back on the old platform that we used, Angel. Something like that could happen, but on Canvas, you're kind of told the beginning date and then the due date. So put that in your iPhones, write that down somewhere on a sticky note, shove it on your wallet or your purse or whatever. When students do drop the ball on a writing assignment, it tends to be the very first one. So just keep that in mind. All right, thanks for your attendance to these issues. Coop out.